What up, everybody? It's your boy Hally back again, Gvg Podcast, Detroit representative to the day that I die, Eastside in the building and all that good stuff. I hope you blessed. I hope this message finds you blessed. Y'all know what it is. It's Gvg. It's God versus gods, the true creator versus the people and things and deities that we choose to worship and put in front of him. Y'all know how we do. I drop episodes every Thursday. I get my points off the phone and off the notebook. Y'all ready? It's already done. So today, usually I'm trying to talk about all these deities and different things that we put in front of the Heavenly Father and try to rip some of those things away in our lives. But today I think I just want to, tell you a little bit about me. And I know that boring, let's just say that. But, I want to talk to y'all about, a few things about me so you can get a better understanding about me and who I am as a person. So I was born in Detroit, Michigan. Yes, sir. Of course, y'all know that. I talk about it all the time. But, growing up on the east side of Detroit, man, it wasn't always easy. It was poverty. It was gang wars. It was drug dealing. It was prostitution. It was, no hope. It was a lot of stuff going on in those streets. And, some of us, if you were lucky enough to be protected or shielded from those things and make it out unscathed, that's great, but most of us, we got scars, and we got trauma, and we got a lot of things that, affected us, that affect us to this day. So, I want to talk about some of those things. And I think for me, I started smoking and drinking at 11, real talk. Me and my boy Antonio Palmer, because I started living with my boy Antonio, I think it was 4th, 5th grade, because the conditions was kind of unfit at my house with my mom and dad. So, my mom was on drugs, and she's clean now, and she's, we got the best relationship ever. My father was an alcoholic. He's clean now, and we got the best relationship ever. Those my people. I love them to death, But we didn't always have a great relationship. So I thank the Heavenly Father that we have reconciled. But yeah, man, I started smoking at 11, and I had my first beer was a Red Dog, Deuce. And the funny thing is, adults, adults are the ones that start you with a lot of this stuff in certain homes. And, we would get weed from down the street, and we would actually take the dime bags and they would be stuffed. So we would sell some of that ourselves. And, I think it was my homeboy mom or Pro Black or one of them who ended up giving us a Red Dog. And then we would get the St. Ides special brew back when, Ice Cube was advertising St. Ides. And that was, around that time we was listening to Busta Rhymes, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Tupac, Biggie, Nas. There was a lot of people out in that, that time. We talking 93, 94. And, it was just a different time back then. I didn't think about it wow, someone is an adult giving a child, psychotics or giving a child alcohol or whatever, you give them. And I guess it was a normal thing to us because it got introduced that way, but, yeah, man, those were my times at 11 years old. I smoked for over 25 years. I stopped about 4 or 5 years ago. And, I haven't touched the blunt since. I don't really have the longing for it anymore. I asked the Heavenly Father to release that in my life. And, every now and then you may get an urge, but the smell just ain't even the same to me no more. So, it is what it is. And the other things, like that was the crazy part about that time. Like that was when I started rapping, because back then you would get the singles and you would have like the hit single, and then on the back of it, on the other side, you would have the instrumental. And, when you got people's songs, you would just rap over those instrumentals and make your own little songs up. And, you doing your song 100 times on that beat till you got it down. And, we would do that for everything with Bone Thugs for the Love of Money, Busta Rhymes, Everything Remains Raw. Like, you look forward to them days linking up and writing your little raps and, reciting them to each other. It was fun time, through all the pain and different stuff that you dealt with, because like my childhood was crazy, like we was broke. Like I didn't get the name brands. We was at Shoppers World and had Focus Hope and Goodfella boxes on Christmas. That's that city life, Highland Park, Detroit City, Eastside, Westside. Certain people, you know what I'm talking about. You get the can of beef with the USDA on it with a white paper and just a outline picture of a cow. You get the white cereal box. Like that was the only thing they say was good was the government cheese, boy. That's real life for us though, man. On Christmas we'd get the Goodfella boxes. So, I was broke. We didn't get the Nikes and the Adidas and all that stuff like that, I was so broke at one time, like my homeboy Antonio, they end up giving me a pair of K-Swiss. And I'm in school and people clowning because they like K-Swiss is for girls. And I'm like, well, today they for me, bruh, because I ain't got nothing else. Like we came from that place of nothing. Like some of my friends, they had the Nintendos and like their parents treated them good. Like I ain't had none of that stuff. So, it was just a different life. So, that's also around the time my cousin Chuck and my cousin Tawana had passed. And, Chuck was like my big brother, like my best friend. And he had sickle cell anemia, and he passed on. And his brother Sweets, Streets, that's my dude to this day. But Streets was just, he was just a bully. He know what he was. That's my guy. He was just, he was in them streets heavy. So I didn't understand it till I got a little older. But me and Chuck, we'll play the video game. We'll do all type of stuff. Like he was like just a big brother to me. Cool. So, that really hit me hard when he passed away. And Tawana, something that's a situation that a lot of people still consider unsolved. We ain't gonna go into none of that. But, she left behind her children. And, they doing good now. I give a shout out to her kids, and I give a shout out to, the Evans family, period. Those my peoples. My cuz Cardi and all them. Like, I love all y'all. Shaniqua, yeah, I love all y'all. Danny, they still live on through her. You can see it. So, rest in peace to Chuck and Tawana and, all the other people in my family. So, that growing up on the east side of Detroit, it was like my pops ain't really teach me nothing about the streets. He was like a book guy. He wanted you to learn schooling. And books don't teach you like not to wear a red hat on this block. So that was like my first encounter with a gang. I was probably 10. And my father ain't never really bought me too much. Like, he ain't bought me nothing, really. My pops wouldn't even buy me a Faygo. But this one particular thing, he bought me a hat, and it was red. So I'm over there on Savannah just chilling, being a kid, and some dudes walked up on me, and they was like, hey, cuz. They was like, what's that you claim? And I'm like, claim? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. And they like, hey, cuz, I'm going to tell you like this. If I see you on this block again with that red hat, it's going to be problems. Now, I'm a 10-year-old shelter kid. I was like shook out my shoes. Like my soul left my body. I'm like, oh, what? Wait a minute. You about to hurt me because of a hat? That was real deal. So I learned early, like, that was the norm in our particular hood, And if you do something out of the line of what they think you should do, you gonna end up on the wrong side of something, So that was crazy to me. Like, I was like, wow, man, I ain't wearing that hat no more. The only thing my dad done bought me. I'm like, wow, I can't even wear the hat. But that's also kind of how the gang thing started with me. It was because over on the blocks, it's like either you join or you against them. And that's a tough thing. Like, if you against them, you just basically gonna be living in hell every day. Like, there ain't gonna be no good days. Dudes is out there every day on the block, waiting to bust somebody's head. You know what I'm saying? Waiting to shed some blood. So I'm not gonna lie. Like, I got to a point where I was like, man, it's better to join them than to be their enemy, and that's part of how I ended up getting in the gang, over there at SC. And, it was I guess normal gang activity. It was crazy. You see dudes walking up the street with AKs and Uzis, and everybody got their colors, and, people out there, you on that set. You got your handshakes, you got all these different things that you do, and, you become part of that community. That's like a brotherhood, like Boys and Girls Club, but it's only, it's gang. And, we got dudes who went to jail for life. We got, there's a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? You see some things sometimes that it might stay with you. So, yeah, being in the gang was definitely crazy, And around that time, I was hanging with my boy Mike, Critic, I was hanging with my boy Lindsay and hanging with my boy Ant. Like, we was all like, they lived on, Gritchdale, Arizona. I was on Elmira, and Mike was on Margaret. So it was like, every day we was rolling together, playing basketball, messing with the girls, this, that, and the other, which Mike was the pimp. It wasn't us. Like, I ain't had that many girls. I was kind of lame, as a young fella. But Mike, he had all the girls. Lindsay was the football guy, which he went on to Persian to play football, and now he's actually coaching, football and giving back to the younger guys. So shout out to him and my boy Ant. He was the hooper. He was like Russell Westbrook out there. Mike was Mike was the hooper too. Everybody called him, Van Exel or Jordan or something like that, because he was relentless with that hoop game. I never was really number one in anything that I could think of, probably except music. Once I started doing that, I felt like could nobody touch me in that. Like, nobody. But yeah, man, shout out to them boys. Like, we grew up in those little hoods together. It was a bunch of other people too. I was just saying that those were really like, my guys. Like, shout out to my boy Jovan too. Yeah, But like, Eastside of Detroit, man, it's a hell of a time. That's all I could say. it's a lot of stuff going on there. And one particular incident, we used to go up the Reach and play basketball with Coach Verge, Rashad Phillips peoples. We used to go up the Reach over there by the Bloods, by State Fair and all that, and Hawthorne. Anybody that know Detroit know Hawthorne is famous for the Bloods. So, we'd be going to Reach, trying to play our little basketball. And I remember that one time we was all walking back, and my boy Anthony, we was all walking. We looked back. Next thing we know, he was gone. And we all like, well, where he going? What he doing? Not knowing at the time, like, he up on game. We thinking, oh, man, he must be breaking curfew or something like that. He tripping, we laugh, and next thing you know, you see about at least probably eight people, 8 Bloods. And they walk up on my boy Red and put his arm around him. Next thing you know, he start flexing on him, and I ain't gonna lie, we start running. We young. You know what I'm saying? 11, 12 years old, we start running. And I'm like, we ain't over there by none of the people we deal with. So the Bloods was heavy, especially back in that day, in that area. And, you would get it. Like, some people got it worse than others. So, but that's over there by Nolan Middle School. Like, anybody that went to Nolan, they know the Bloods was heavy over there. Like, heavy. So, my sister Celeste, she was Scorpio. She was in the B-side crew, and they had their little crew on Wanda and Elmira and all these other streets. They was getting it out here. Shout out to them. I know it's been some years since all that stuff went down, but them boys was getting it out there. And my sister was always a gangster. For real. So when I was in this gang, I met a guy. His name was Ronald Fry. And I knew him based on, my brother was messing with Ronald Fry's baby mama. So, rest her soul. That was my girl. But he was coming around, and he was into church, He was going to the Pentecostal Church of Jesus Christ. And at the time, I'm in a gang. I'm broke. I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got nothing. And he, would be that guy that would come around and be like, any of the kids want to go to church, any of y'all want to go to church, y'all can roll with me. And of course, I'm like, man, I ain't. But one day I was like, man, go ahead, go to church, get a different change of scenery, do your thing. And I went. And then afterwards, they took us to Big Boy. And, I ain't never had no big boy. I ain't never had none of that. So I'm in there like, I could order whatever I want. Give me that burger, bro. Give me them fries. Give me this. Give me, And I was like, I bet I'm going to church. I'm getting that big boy meal. But in the process of that, I learned that, I started paying attention to some of the things, and I was like, man, God is something, and I looked at all the people in there, and I was like, they really trying. They really doing this. And I got to the point where, I got baptized and was trying to tarry and speak in tongues and try to be saved. And, it was tough because it was that back and forth life of my gang friends, my gang member people, and trying to get away from those things, and So I was living that double life of trying to be, a better kid, but also still, riding with my boys. And I didn't leave the gang until my boy Shada, basically, he took me to a studio and the studio, they was all Bloods. And I'm cool. Like I ain't the type that be set tripping, going crazy everywhere I go. I got dudes that's like that, but I was more like chill. Like I had common sense. But when I went over there, I saw all of their spray painting, symbols, this, that, and the other. They got the guns, they got this and that. And I just started thinking to myself, I'm like, dang. They got homies that's dead. We got homies that's dead. They got homies doing life. We got homies that's doing life. You know what I'm saying? They got their little symbols. We got our little symbols. And my boy I just was like, man, I want to make this music. I wasn't thinking about no gang stuff. I'm like, I want to make this music. And then I'll never forget when my brother-in-law came to get me. They was like, hey, cuz, who is that in that red van? And I'm like, bro, that's my brother-in-law. And that kind of put me in a place of being like, okay, yeah, we stupid. And then another thing, my boy Kid came through and he was acting like he was a GD and my boys was about to rob him. And I had to stop them from robbing them. And, I was like, okay, it's a little too much right now because I don't like it. So I slowly but surely started to separate myself from the gang. But I still love them dudes. I still have love for them dudes, even to this day if I see them. But I think I kind of grew up faster than they did. And in my growing up, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. So that's how I, left the gang. That's how I got away from it and was like, enough is enough, So the one thing I did love about being a kid was them penny candy stores. Every now and then you would get some change and you'll go in there and buy all types of candy. Like I know if you're from Detroit and you maybe 70s, 80s, baby, about them penny candy stores that the little black people used to own. Those was like black-owned businesses, And that was like one of the highlights of your week if you can get one of them, And it's crazy, like, there were times where we ain't had no lights, no gas at the house. Like, this is not just a Detroit thing. This is just period. Like, I grew up on Elmira, and there was a lot of times where the gas would be off in the winter, and it's cold in a mug in the house. I remember my dad had a kerosene lamp in the house. Like, our house smelled like, I don't even know what to tell you. It just smelled like kerosene all day. We ain't never had no phone, like no landline or none of that stuff. We ain't never had no cable. We had cable maybe one time. But we lived that tough life, you know what I'm saying? That's why I said, like, with the Focus Hope and the Goodfella boxes and stuff like that, it was real, you know what I'm saying? And I still remember how I knew Santa was fake was the one year when we didn't even have a Christmas tree. And I came downstairs, and in my mama room, they had two gifts, one for me and one for my sister. And they wasn't even wrapped. They literally, I had a Walkman, I think, and she had like a hot comb or something. And those were our gifts for that year. And I was like, where, as a kid, you like, where the hell is Santa Claus at? Like, we get good grades, we stay out of trouble, we this, we that. Like, how come we ain't got nothing. And, that rude awakening was there. And then you just go out the next day and live your life. But man, we used to play basketball on crates. I remember that. Like, we didn't have basketball rims, so we would cut out the bottom of a crate and we would play basketball on it. Like, I'm talking like hard basketball, like finals. Like, you coming out there like I'm Jordan, or he Jordan, I'm Scotty, he Horace Grant, you this like you going out there like that. Like, we get a backboard and we get a crate, get a bunch of nails, because dudes be trying to dunk the rim down, dunk the crate down. Like, you ain't lived till you shot a 3-pointer on a crate, bro. That's just real talk. And this was the 90s, but this was in the 80s too also. And I remember on my block, like, from the pictures that my mom and them show me, in the 80s, our block was full. Like, it was houses everywhere. And then as the years went on, more and more houses was gone. They was burnt up. They was vacant. Devil's Night was real big in the D. Like, it was crazy, like, for real. And I remember the roaches. Like, I don't know if kids today know about roaches, but, like, we used to have roaches and we used to have mice. For real. Like, you literally, roaches was everywhere, on the ceiling, on the wall. You might open your fridge, they might be in there. And the mice is just as bad. Like, in Detroit, it's crazy how many mice you see in your house and how many rats you see on the street. And like you say, like, you just see roaches everywhere. They damn near on the porch. But I knew it's a lot of things that kind of happened in my life that was just, I guess, what you would think was probably normal. And then there was things that just, would be traumatic and would put you in a different type of state. But I do remember living with all types of people, once my situation got too bad at my home. Like, I lived with my brother Rich before. I've lived with my cousins, my aunt Beverly. And I've lived with, different friends. Like, shout out to, like I said before, my boy Mike. I've lived with my boy Antonio Palmer. I've bounced around a few different places, and it all started when I was about 10 or 11, and when you that person, you miss out on a lot of the birthdays, you miss out on a lot of the Christmases, you miss out on a lot of being celebrated, and you're more just like tolerated, and you got to move a certain way when you a kid and you living with somebody else that have kids. They're going to celebrate their children and you just basically tolerate it. So, it's one of those situations where I was never mad about it. I just had to, learn my way, earn my keep. But, I do remember that one time my auntie was tripping about the kids. And she put everybody on punishment, and I think I was about 15, 16, man. I was probably about 15, 14, 15, and she took my PlayStation away, and I'm like, I bought this myself with my own money, and you trying to take my stuff away? So I literally packed up everything like that I could take, and I walked out at night. I'm talking about from 7 and Gratiot all the way down to Nevada and John R. If anybody know, if you're from the city, like, I walked, and that anger just took me. Like, I walked that whole way. I was like, you ain't taking my PlayStation. Not after I ain't did nothing wrong. That was the one time I did, be like, I'm out of here. So, but You talking middle school, high school. Middle school, it was tough because I was still broke, but I was living with other people, so it wasn't like they was gonna be able to do anything for me. And they ain't wrong for that, because my parents is supposed to be the ones doing that, and they wasn't. So, it was kind of tough, man. It was tough having the holes in your shoes and wearing the same pants 3 times in a week, wearing the little cheap Looney Tune shirts that you get from the flea markets and stuff like that. Wearing the knockoffs. Back in the day, it was a bunch of knockoff clothes that you get from the Asian stores. And like, what you gonna do? Like, you had to deal with it. So I used to get clowned in school. People used to talk about me, talk about my haircuts and the difference. I ain't never had no good shoes, no nothing. Like, that's tough. That's really tough for a kid, man. But that's when I started to find music, was in middle school. And that was kind of my escape. That was my escape from everything that was going on. Was, I was freestyling and doing stuff back when I was young, when I was, 93, 94, but I really started taking it serious like in middle school. That's when I just started writing every day, and when I got to high school, it was just, that was when the battles and the performing and all that stuff started. So I ain't gonna lie, like 9th grade, 10th grade, I was wearing all my cousin clothes and shoes. I mean, this dude had so much in his wardrobe that this was his second closet. Put it that way. And he used to be so mad at me because he would always catch me in some of his clothes, and I'd be like, man, I'm so sorry, but what you want me to do? I ain't got nothing. He used to be like, sir, why you got on my clothes? That's big cuz Wayne, man. To this day, he was on me like, bro, why you got on my clothes, sir? I was like, man, I kept doing it. I'm sorry, because I had to. Like, I ain't had nothing. And he literally had all the Jordans, he had the style. Like, he was like rock bottom Eastside Cheddar Boy style. So, I was on that. But yeah, man, high school, we started like, I was writing and I was always battling. Battling was real big back then. And I hooked up with a group called Ill. That was me, Shada, KID, Killer in Disguise. We had a dude named Will. And like, they was already together, and then I came into the fold. And then, we had a few more add-ons, Fix and Mysterio and Sketch and different people. But yeah, we was just going through the school. We was a crew, and we was battling people. Like, we was flaming everybody. Like, and you always have a crowd around you, and you go in and just battle. Like, we was doing that for a while in high school, and we did a few performances for the school, and we was in the plays and all type of stuff. Like, high school was a different experience, man. And it's like, yeah, I was still in the gang. I was still messing with the guns. That was when we started carjacking and doing all type of stuff and selling weed. Like, we was in them streets heavy, but there was a different side of it that allowed you to release. It allowed you to show another side of yourself, that you wasn't just this animal in the streets. And I love Persian for that. Man, I remember I stood up the homecoming queen, bro. Like, wow. Like, Carmico. It wasn't my fault, though. You know, me and my bro Shada, we was all dressed up and ready. And the dude that was supposed to come get us flaked out on us. And we was all on the block waiting, you know. We done took off the hood clothes and then put on the good clothes. We Versace'd up and everything. Like, we about to shut it down. Man, I guarantee you, bro. I was so mad. Like, that was my girl. She was so fine in high school. And when I didn't come there, I didn't make it. Like, I saw her at school and she was like, what happened? Where was you at? She was like, I won homecoming queen, and they was hating on me so bad, and I just wish you was right there. And I was like, dang. Your boy Thugger Man then messed up the whole homecoming for her, bro. I was like, wow. Stories you could tell out here. Persian high school, man. Shoot, man. I remember when this one girl played me crazy to the left. Like, and it's funny because my boy Mike, he the one that catch me. He on the bus talk about, yeah, you know you a daddy out here. I'm in high school. Like, man, what you talking about? He like, yeah, you remember old girl that you was messing with? She got a baby, bro, and it's yours. I'm like, huh? My heart then fell in my shoes. I'm like, bro, you gotta be kidding me. So I link up with her. True enough, she got a baby. I'm like, oh my God. Heart all in my shoes. Mouth dropped to the floor. And so I'm like, dang, man, I gotta be a dad. I gotta be there for my shorty. You know, all the stuff we say. And I was coming over there, you know, this, that, and the other. And then, like, I came over there one time. She wanted me to come through. And, you know, she all on me, this, that, and the other. And then when her peoples come through, she like, you know, just tell them that you my friend, you know, that this ain't your baby. And so I'm like, huh? I'm like, that sounds stupid. And so what happens is the real baby daddy ends up coming over. And when he comes over, he is the father, as Maury would say. And I peeped game and I was out of there quicker than a road runner. I done bought the little kid teddy bears and tried to help her out and stuff, and then realized that, and I was like, dang, she played me like a Super Nintendo. She played me like a PS5. I was like, wow. Like, that was all in high school. I was still trying to be like, I'm going to be a good dad. I ain't going to abandon my kid. That's my seed. I'm thinking the dude mine, and I like the son mine, and I come to find out he not. I was like, damn, these girls out here, they'll do you in, bro. I had to learn that lesson. That was always one of my problems. I was always too loyal to a fault, as they would say. And even on a block, you know, like, that's just how I always was. And I remember I had the job at the dollar show. And my gang homeboys came up there and was clowning me. And I quit the job to go be back on the block. That was stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, loyal to a fault and embarrassed and thinking that, you know, the backwards thinking is the right way. And loyal to a fault to, you know, this young lady who was lying saying that I'm the father of her child. And it's crazy because even being on the block hustling, like, I was skipping school so much. Like, I just had the freedom to, like, and, you know, I'm on the block. I'm doing my thing and got guns, got weight, and that's all I was doing. I cared more about the block. I thought I was going to make it rapping. And I end up, really messing up in school and getting behind. And it's sometimes like you be so far behind when you go back to the class, you don't even know where they at in the lesson. And, it got to a point where I didn't have the credits, and then when it was time to get the senior dues and all that, ain't nobody had no money for me. My mama and them ain't had no money for me. And I know I wasn't paying it, so it was one of those things where it's like the senior dues matter, your credits matter. You start to learn that stuff as you get older. And it's still something that, is in my brain to this day. I'm over it, but, it's those choices that you make in this life and is what gets you what you get. And then, whatever favor the Heavenly Father has over your life through all the course of all your mistakes, and thinking that you know everything and you know what's going to pop off when you don't. You just a lowly human being. So the one thing I knew, I was always into drawing. I was always into making beats, writing lyrics. I was writing poems. I was a gangster, but I was smooth. Like I wouldn't call myself a gangster. I was just a guy from Detroit trying to make it. And I did I made a few bad choices along the way, but I wasn't the one starting nothing. And I was always smooth. I was always respectful. And I think that kind of took me a further than a lot of other people. And that's just me. As a person, even today. I know I'm a peacemaker. I ain't no fire starter. I ain't no hater. I don't be jealous of nobody. I don't be talking behind nobody's back. I ain't gonna say nothing behind your back that I ain't gonna say to your face. I try to keep it as real as possible and put myself in other people's shoes, because everybody's different. Everybody got their own life, But, I'm just trying to tell y'all a few of the stories that I've dealt with and been through. You can always go back and do probably 10-part. This could be a 10-part series, when you're talking about some of the things you've been through, some of the stuff you dealt with, and just different little stories throughout, your childhood. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be bringing out another one, but I just want to bring this one out just to, let people know, to get a bit more of a feel about me and the things I've been through, and some of the things that was my fault, some of the things that wasn't, some of the times that I deserved to get whooped and beat down, and then them times when I didn't, because abuse is real. There's a lot of things out here that happen to people, and nobody really knows. So to all my people out there that's going through the struggle, to all my people that's, sick, homeless, dealing with being behind on bills, strained relationships, whatever it is, single mothers, single fathers, children going through problems. I want to just pray for all of y'all and hope that, y'all make it to a better day and continue to live and grow, and eventually, your day will come. You just got to keep fighting. This your boy Hally. It's GVG. We drop episodes every Thursday. I love all of y'all, and today I just wanted to bring you a little bit of, into my world and my past. Some of the things, not everything, but just some tidbits. I love all of y'all. Until next time, it's GVG, and we out.